sapiens, guys? Time for another video. But I've been meaning to get around to doing here. So many subjects, so little time. Too much in the truth, keep it to another day, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I wanted to get around to talking about the mentality behind those who want to legalize all drugs. And I talk in parentheses one or two of my lurkers that sarcastically claim as fans I don't think they're a bad person. Yeah, I ask them, a fan of exactly what? But there's a lot of other legal drugs that people get on for antidepressants that I don't recommend people jumping on the bandwagon to do. And another thing in parentheses, talking in parentheses before I talk about this, especially for a couple of my lurkers that sarcastically call themselves fans. It's not about trying to deny somebody their antidepressant if they need it or any kind of thing like that, or if they want to smoke a joint or whatever fucking illegal drug that they want to do, which I'm going to talk about the flaws and why legalizing all drugs doesn't work. Look what happened to California. But my philosophy, if you pay attention before I go into this, is whether you say any of my other videos are a bad take or an awful take as far as these antidepressants they want everybody on. It's not so much about a bad take that you have your opinion, right? My philosophy revolves around not being told what to do and not wanting to tell anybody else what to do. And above all, anybody who supports anything I say, the biggest thing here, the most important thing is it's about getting over. Especially, I did videos on this about how to survive inflation, which those videos are also, I take shots at people who want to legalize all drugs, or even people taking antidepressants that don't need them because somebody wants them all on them. It's not about belittling you if you need a particular thing, or if you have particular issues and you go to doctors or therapists. I don't want to belittle everybody, but it's about getting over. If you cannot have any habits, even cigarettes, which are getting up higher in price, I mean, it's about getting over most of all, and that's why people think the things I say are an awful take or a bad take, whatever the fuck you want to call it, okay? And that's why some people, your lurkers over there online or people out in the world, that's why they hate you. They find, even though you say, I'm not trying to, even if you say, even if people like me say, I don't care what you do, and I don't want to force my values down your throat, and hey, I don't want you forcing my stuff down your throat. But anyway, everything I said this far, I should have made a video separately, but I just clarify something. If you got this far in the video, the mentality of most people that want to legalize all drugs, they want that homelessness in California. They don't want nobody to be empowered. The people that want to legalize all drugs, most of them, they're one of two things. Either they're a supporter and a worshiper of Mr. King of the Streets, like different versions of the beta male type, or if they're somewhat beta male, or the alpha of the beta male, that indicate that Mr. King of the Streets, or Mr. King, or the aspiring Mr. King of the Streets in some loser bar that talk that, you get a relative that does drugs that talks this shit. Some names so-and-so, like they're so badass that you don't want to piss off. That, like they're king shit, and like they're so badass that, you better not piss them off. And it's another important part too, even though the far right doesn't particularly like me, I don't want to go too far about the far right, but as opposed to the far right that don't even like me, that would, they'd be the boss in a workplace or something, that if you don't kiss their ass or whatever, that I'd be fired from somewhere, or they worship police state. If I get smart with them, I'd be arrested or something. The ones, as opposed to the ones that worship police state, these people with the mentality they want to legalize all drugs. They want to do away with the police, and they don't give a damn. Say if I get mass reported by somebody on the far left. Excuse me. They don't give a damn, or a flying rat's ass, for example. If somebody on the far right doesn't like me, and I get mass reported by the police, or get beaten down by the police, or whatever the fuck, I would get no dramatic, sensationalized. Oh my God, we gotta have a campaign, this police brutality. Even if you're black with my kind of values, they don't give a. If you're black watching, and if you have some other kind of value system similar to mine, where you don't worship as a drug daddy, they don't give a shit. Say if you're black and you get beaten down by the police and mass reported by some other group, they don't give a fuck. It's all about them. It's all about, and as opposed to the people who worship police state, and can be the extreme left, like I said, that don't really like me either. As opposed to them, they think they want Mr. King of the Streets to be the police, to commit the same brutality. It's just wrong with if the police do it. I mean, no different than fucking kids that we went to school with, right? Oh, Mr. So-and-so badass, like the school bully, rough and tough. They're out of high school later. Oh, worship some, and they'll even exaggerate like there's some, not a cartel, but some, like they're a gang or whatever. They'll grow up going to these loser bars or whatever, and they'll get these other, you got the moderate stoner, right? And you got the fanatical stoners that want to worship Mr. King of the Streets, and there's that expression, right? That's just an expression, right? But about being down with us, that expression, I should do a whole video on it. What down with us means, you don't want to be empowered. Say even if you were some kind of stoner somewhere and you do something with yourself, that clique that you were in, they don't really want that, they want to tell you what you can't and can't have, I mean, you have that, like a narco-communist state. Mr. King of the Streets can just come up to you either in cars or whatever, the same way he came up in police cars, which still goes on now. And I'd make a reference again, the Pittsburgh News, an article I'd show you. The Hazelwood mob, which got broke up by the police. It was on the news, and I showed an article. I'll show you an article about that. Oh, there's these assholes out there, the people that engage in drug worship. They're also saying, oh, the Hazelwood mob, oh, that's so terrible. How dare them police arrest all them? And the Hazelwood mob, and I use the Hazelwood mob in the Pittsburgh News as an example. And they got broke up because citizens don't want to be controlled that way. Maybe some people want to do whatever drugs they want to do. Maybe there's some drug doers that don't want to be controlled that way either anymore than they want to be controlled by police state. And they avoid that shit too. They just want to get high. I have more respect for that, really, But the people like, say, the Hazelwood mob, thinking they're big shit, like they run things, intimidation, snitches get stitches. And if you don't kiss their ass, even if you don't snitch on them, right? If you don't kiss their ass, you're regarded as a would-be snitch. I mean, these people, they want Mr. King of the Streets to be put in the place of the police, get rid of the police. And the people like that, under that category, whatever daddy they worship, they want Mr. King of the Streets as their daddy, and as opposed to the people that want police state as their daddy. And there's an extreme version of both that don't really like me either way. And I preached before, there's a part of the right that's not the far right that I get along with certain values, and the part of the left that I get along with that's not the extreme left, that cares more about the poor. I'd almost be like a slightly reversed version of the YouTuber Sticks Hex and Hammer 666, where he had a video that said, "Oh, the war on drugs is over, good riddance," or whatever the heck. And actually, I'm not enemies with him. I was actually a person just like him back when I was in school, a teenager, that I was gaslighted as a Satanist. And I have my own ways because of that to get even with the world. I preached that before, but I agree with his politics. I'm not going to go on and on about him. I listen to him for his politics, but he might partially agree with me somewhere about another war on drugs going on. But I disagree with him as part of the war on drugs is over. No, it's not. After the 2020 riots and vandalisms, in areas, and according to TV news in my area, a new war on drugs has started. And even and I can argue with even under President Biden, which, however, he got elected. Yeah, he don't say anything outright, but all of a sudden under his presidency in our areas, on our TV news, there was way more heroin busts, and I did videos preaching about everything from the RICO law to even the Roe versus Wade being overturned. I regard these things as being a vendetta. You figure Roe versus Wade and all of a sudden these heroin busts that have gone on the increase, and all of a sudden RICO busts, like people like Young Thug and these other rappers, celebrities or whatever, getting indicted. Tell me that isn't vendetta for the government, a part of the government, knowing who was actually fueling those 2020 violent riots and destructions and things like that. So I actually believe that's a part of a vendetta there too. And the legalizing of all drugs, like some people want, is not going to happen, because some people do not want to be controlled by Mr. King of the Streets to be their daddy. A lot of people resent that. Even a lot of people that resent police state also resent that. There were even some drug doers. I knew some of them, so you know what I mean? The ones that are on my page about this were the stoners that I knew in other neighborhoods that were nice to me. They weren't assholes like some of these other ones, One or two may have been like a welder in a place that I worked. Yeah, for example, they smoked pot. And I tell them how so-and-so wanted me to go to this party or whatever. I said, no, I don't do those things. I want to go home and eat my supper and go eat out or whatever. And he told me, well, yeah, I wouldn't even go there. So-and-so got beat up over there. Those wild-ass parties, some of the person wants to smoke their joint at home or some damn shit. I mean, I have more respect to that. And I'm saying that shit to be fair, okay? People that need medical marijuana, you know what I'm saying? But that's why, and to debunk the people who, if you got this far in this video, debunking the people who want to legalize all drugs like it's supposed to be so great. Like I said before, even if they want to be nice to me and say they want legalization of all drugs, they indicate that they want Mr. King of the Streets as their daddy. And if they get what they want, they wouldn't be nice to me anymore. If Mr. King of the Streets committed the same brutality as the police, after all, because they'd become police after you did away with the police, they'd indicate, you brought that on yourself, I mean. So, other words, if you don't kiss their ass, you get harassed. There's people that want that. That's their damn dream. And they can give a rat's ass if the rest of the nicer towns, like the ones I live in now, become tent encampments. People that got addicted to drugs, with people in the drug hierarchy extorting money, panhandled money from the homeless over there. Yeah, you legalize all drugs. See how quickly businesses and workplaces just collapse, and you won't get nobody to work anywhere, or the economy collapses. Yeah, there's some people that want that shit. The narco-communist mentality. Certain aspect of people, a certain group of people that they have the drugs and the guns, have the power, you know what I mean? Like these South American and Central American countries and these other countries. Not stereotyping anybody, but there's a lot of good people running from Mexico and South American countries that want to get away from that shit too. And But then there's people that want to come into this country and make it the same shithole. You know what I mean? There are people in that the tent camp that want everybody to be like the tent encampments in California. There, you got people that advocate that shit. That they want every town to be the same shithole as that. You know what I mean? And yeah, they want to be. Yeah, these are the kind of people, as opposed to police state, that want to tell me how my fucking life is gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, these are the kind of people with the mentality, like the people you went to school with or was in college with. Oh yeah, worship Mr. Badass, Mr. Pseudo Gangster, Mr. King of the Streets. Not because of, I'm not saying anything because of anybody's race. They're both black or white. Like I said before, it could be the white guy with some tattoos and their hierarchy on steroids, the enforcing class. Have Eminem blasting in their, the white guy on steroids and tattoos, blasting Eminem in his, car stereo. Come and, harass you like the like the schoolyard bully, or just like the police, or whatever. But like I said, they bitch about the police doing it, but, not sticking up for the police. But I'm saying, as opposed to worshiping police state, worship, think it'll be a big paradise. And then also let's see how far, see how far, the world will come. If that shit ever happened, you legalize all drugs, you might as well just like, this country, how quickly it'll turn into, something that's, worse than a third world country. I think, eventually everybody would die of something or another. The whole, population would probably start to deteriorate one way or another. I can go into a whole video what that would turn in. It would almost be an equivalent of what the late George Carlin said about all you had to do is do away with electricity. And I can make an argument that this legalizing all drugs mentality would be, you would lose electricity on the electric grid because everybody would be too fucking stoned to either show up for their job or work on the electrical grid or maintain it, or an internet grid to voice your crazy ass opinions. It would be like that, you know. People, anybody that doesn't kiss ass, you know. The damn 2020 marches that happened in places that had nothing to do with George Floyd or whatever. They were a dress rehearsal for that, not just protesting in places that had nothing to do with the damn incident. A dress rehearsal for getting a bunch of people together, like flexing power, like they're an army and like an intimidating class. Like I said, you legalize all drugs, you're going to have a new enforcing class. That's what these fucking people want. You know, I'm not talking about the moderate stoner either, you know what I mean? There's some of them that don't want that. But yeah, some of them, they're basically a bunch of people who can go fuck themselves. But that's what you'll get. You'll get a bunch of people like that. But yeah, what I was getting at before I almost had before I went on another direction is that those violent protests that happen even in towns that had nothing to do with it, and the people that drove those people out of their towns were right by doing so, you know what I mean? Because they don't want that shit in their town. A lot of this shit that happened in places that had nothing to do with it, which that shit should be banned. It was literally a dress rehearsal for shit like that. They want a group of people that want to overthrow the civilized world and have it run their way. And that's why the government was actually going after everybody from Young Thug to all these other different people. Rico going after these people. And that's why we have an increase in our TV news anyway of heroin busts. That was a vendetta for like 2020. Because, you know, government ain't stupid. The government knows they need businesses to, and people with clear heads to run businesses to pay taxes. I mean, they'll allow recreational marijuana and alcohol to a point in cigarettes, but any drug that doesn't make anybody responsible or coherent enough to even run a business to pay them taxes. And any extreme view of legalizing all drugs ain't going to happen, because these people, the far left will allow that, but then when reality, if such a thing happened, if reality sets in, how do they know they're going to have a paradise? Their asses, nobody would need their asses anymore, so they're complete idiots there too. But there's a part of the government that don't want that shit, because they know they'd lose the farm. I mean, all that, if you got this far in this video before I end this, all that concept of wanting to legalize all drugs is like, you look at the YouTube video, The Story of Your Enslavement, that legalizing all drugs is another human farming approach or technique that they want to put in place. Same way some people want to put communism, these assholes that want like a narco-communism and tell you what you can and can't own, you know, and the druggies run everything. You have this or that, and you have it. They want. It's like, give me that. You know what I mean? And already you got the mentality. Without that, all that shit being legalized now, you got people that getting these clicks. They're doing this heroin and all these other drugs and all that, or crack or whatever, and you get in their clique. You ain't allowed to have anything among your peers there. Everybody got to be equal. That's a way they want to legalize all that shit. Everybody be equal. You ain't allowed to have nice stuff or be empowered. Everything needs to be sold to buy drugs for your friends, or else you're an asshole, a selfish asshole, and everything. Yeah, they have a different value system. If you have anything nice or want to have nice things, you're antisocial and selfish in their eyes, and you need to be beat up. You need to get, and if you don't worship, we need to get Mr. Drug Daddy, Mr. King of the Streets, to go, and his pals to go beat you up, and you need to go talk to be told who runs things. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want. How dare you? You have nice things. You're selfish. You can't have that. You know, everybody got it. The people don't want that shit. They want everybody to be the same. And even though they're some of the ones that'll be cordial and nice to you, like that's what the hell they want. They're like, the people that either want that shit or the people they worship, like the Mr. King of the Streets, Drug Daddy they worship. These people are narcissistic control enthusiasts or control freaks. Don't walk away from me. They want to have the guns and have the power. Oh, don't push back. Don't walk away from me. You either you don't worship me or kiss my ass. You need to be beat up or whatever the hell. Want to be the supreme ruler or whatever. And the ones that support these kinds of people, support legalization of all drugs, they support these kinds of people. And the ones that support these kinds of people, if they don't want to have you beat up yourself, Mr. Drug Daddy, Mr. King of the Streets is the police that they need to get after you. So the ones that worship, the people that worship these scumbags are the ones that they can't beat you up themselves, so that and they resent you if you have anything that they don't have, or you're mentally or physically better than them in any kind of way. Instead of bettering themselves, they want to bring everybody down to equal. So it's all about bringing everybody else down to the same level, and destroying everything you are and everything you have. And these people that want this kind of a legalizing of drugs or whatever, they worship Mr. King of the Streets, wants to provide them all their drugs, and if you don't worship their daddy, then you need to be beat up or shot. And they don't care if the police, somebody else on the far right mass reports you and you get shot, but at least by the police, they don't care. And they don't want you armed either, you know what I mean? They want their Mr. King of the Streets to be armed and you not to be armed. How dare you be armed? You don't stand up to anybody. Oh, and also, yeah, how dare the police arrest any of our people that, you know the whole story, you know what I mean? That's the whole mentality.